everybody, welcome back to the Stretford Paddock for another episode of Paper Talk, the show where we sort the lies from the truth in the dirt sheets and the online news. And unfortunately this week, there's not really a lot to go on, nothing that we don't know already, and I think that's kind of grown to the frustrations of our fan base. Not to say that there's not some stuff to talk about. Start with the MEN. Ferland Mendy, one of Real's new signings, claiming that he wants Paul Pogba to join Real Madrid this summer. It shouldn't come as a surprise as well. It seems every week or every day it should be that Paul Pogba is linked with either Juve or Real, with new news breaking, with some new source, with some new information. And to be honest, it seems pretty legit. He's come out and said he wants to leave. However, I can't see at this stage, the longer time goes on, it's hard to see how any club is going to be able to afford Paul Pogba at this stage. I think Juve seem to have the De Ligt deal wrapped up at this stage. Shouldn't come as any surprise that he isn't coming to, as I called it a while ago. I would have been absolutely astounded if Matthijs De Ligt decided to join Manchester United. But he's decided to go to Italy, and to be honest, you can't blame him. And it looks like Juve won't be able to afford Paul Pogba, which only kind of leaves one team in the running, and that's Real Madrid. And as much as Real have been kind of hitting the nail on the head transfer activity-wise, you've seen what they've done. I think spent easily in excess of 200 million on the likes of Eden Hazard, Ferland Mendy, Luka Jovic, that young Rodrigo lad as well. They've spent a lot of money this summer, and you have to beg the question, how can they afford Paul Pogba with this financial fair play? You know, it seems to be being implemented by clubs. You look at teams like Birmingham City getting a transfer, although I'm not really, I think that was for financial fair play, but teams getting kind of nailed down on for financial fair play. Obviously, Real Madrid are kind of a red herring in that regard, being the powerhouse of European and world football as they are. But I mean, United have pretty much said, or it's been reported pretty widely, that 150 million is what it's going to take at least to get Paul Pogba out of Manchester United. And with wages as well, you're talking Real Madrid could be spending upwards of 500 million this summer. And if FIFA or UEFA or whoever the hell is running this financial fair play thing are serious about what they're doing, there's not a chance that they can let Real Madrid away with what they're doing. But we'll wait and see. The MEN as well, going on to say, Victor Lindelof is saying that this summer is going to be crucial, or I should say the pre-season tour is going to be crucial for next season, as it will give the current Manchester United squad time to bond with new teammates. But what new teammates are there? Well, we've got Daniel James, and we have no one else. That's about it. The Wan-Bissaka stuff seems to be stalling as well over the line. The Daily Mail going on in one of their reports, Dominic Fifield saying that the kind of stuff we've heard before, talks are ongoing again. Apparently, the only thing, as I said last week, was the money up front. Apparently an 80 grand a week deal has been put in place for Wan-Bissaka to join Manchester United, but whenever that's going to get over the line, I don't know. Obviously a pretty horrendous showing from himself, and it can't be denied the rest of the England under-21s, they crashed out of the tournament yesterday, I believe, after not winning a single game, losing 2, drawing 1. They blew the lead 3 times to Croatia. So Wan-Bissaka part of an England under-21s team that has definitely underperformed. And it does beg the question, you know, why aren't these deals getting done over the line? Ollie said before the season, or before even the season ended, that he wanted his deal done quickly and in an efficient manner. It kind of reminds us of the summer we were hoping for, I think it was 2007, 2008, where we signed Nani Anderson and Carlos Tevez, I believe, in the space of a few days or a few hours, if even. Ollie's kind of identified what players he wants. You can tell what kind of player profile he's going for, the young British type. But it just seems to be stagnating. As much as you guys, I'm getting pretty pissed off with just everyday talks. United are in talks. A bit like, it's just nonsense. It really is nonsense at this stage. There is weight behind the Wan-Bissaka thing, as we know. But even Simon Stone a couple of days ago was tweeted that there's no deal that's been put in place. It's a fluid situation, so it can change. But really, it's just the papers and the outlets running with the same thing, in talks, nothing concrete, all speculation. And obviously Gary Neville as well this morning going into talking about on Sky Sports about how difficult it is really for United to conduct business. He went on to say, it's difficult to do business. Everyone knows United want players and price tags will go up. You've got to try and encourage players to come to the club. Players don't just jump to sign for any club. They do their homework and get their agents to get to work. They probably have 50 meetings before they sign for a club nowadays. United will be in a pit with the rest of the Sharks looking for the big signings. It's difficult for all clubs. For all clubs. They all want the same players. And at this rate now, it's not as if it's an issue with players coming in as much. It's more of an issue as well with, we're not bringing in any players. So how can we get rid of this deadwood that we've been crying to get rid of for years? If we can't get anyone in to replace them. We all know that Ashley Young should be sold this summer, or at the very most kept on as a squad player. We all know that Chris Smalling and Phil Jones have outstayed their welcome and some at the club over a number of years. But if there's players not coming in to replace the likes of these, and Alexis Sanchez as well is another player obviously kind of relevant at the moment from the regard that, obviously coming up short for Chile in the Copa America last night, losing 1-0 to Uruguay. But a guy who's been putting in performances in the in an international tournament for his team, and it has divided opinion whether he should stay or he should go. And the way it looks of it, Gary Neville saying, kind of hitting the nail on the head, that getting business done for a football club these days isn't what it was 10 years ago. Agents and agent fees are such a massive factor at this point, and being United in the position they are, price tag's going to go up. We all know United are going to have to overpay for players. And if Ed Woodward can't get the deals done, players like Alexis Sanchez, you can't get rid of a player without being to replace him. And yes, I know Alexis Sanchez doesn't fit the system. We want a lot of splitting opinions online. Some saying that maybe Sanchez, the performances he's putting in for Chile at the moment merit maybe one more, crack at Old Trafford. Personally, I just don't think that's an option at this stage. I think a player like Alexis Sanchez flourishes in a certain system. He flourishes with the players around him in whatever formation that he's placed in. And look, it can't be denied that Alexis Sanchez, he had his run of injuries. And it wasn't as if he wasn't trying for Manchester United. You can just look at the stats of the ground he's covering. He's very much a pressing forward. And at one stage covered more, and I'm pretty sure it would probably be the same now. Was covering more ground than any of the attacking players without the ball pressing. But he just doesn't fit the system. He's been injured, and when he has played, he's been absolutely crap, hasn't he? 350k a week, plus people saying more than that, 400k, 500k, whatever it is a week. Is it really worth paying that next season for another go? Give him another try? 500k a week? I don't think so anyway. Another article that the MEN is going with as well is that, an interesting one when you think about it, is United still need to find a captain, a leader for next season. Everyone kind of assumed it was nailed on for Paul Pogba to probably be given it, to entice him to stay at the club. But I honestly don't see how you can give it to him now, given what he's come out and said over the past few weeks, that he wants a new challenge somewhere else. Practically coming out and saying he wants to leave the club. Let's make no bones about it. He doesn't want to be at Manchester United. I don't think he's wanted to be at Manchester United for the past season. After his first season, I think the criticism started to roll in, and obviously the past 2 seasons he has shown glimpses. We've talked about it so many times. I don't need to tell you what it's like with Paul Pogba. Up and down, peaks and troughs. But to give him the captaincy would be such a submissive decision by Ollie. And Ollie really doesn't seem like the guy, or at least I really hope he isn't. And because to make that submissive decision, to give a guy the captain's armband who doesn't want to be at the club, he's a phenomenal player. Gary Neville saying as well just how good Paul Pogba is as well. But you just can't give a player like that the armband who doesn't want to be there. He went on to say, they don't have to keep any player. United are a better team while Paul Pogba plays. But if players don't want to be at the club, that doesn't mean Pogba. He may want to be at the club. You have to get everybody on side and aligned with where you're going. And it's obvious that Paul Pogba isn't one of those players who kind of is all for this progressive long-term plan that Ollie wants to be put in place. Another thing Gary Neville was on to say, ultimately that's the first thing Ollie had to do to work out who was going to be ready for the club moving forward. I'm still unsure on many players. I see the speculation on Sky Sports News and online, and it looks like it could be moving all the time. Well, it doesn't look like it's moving all the time at this stage. It looks like it's stagnating with just constant links of United are in talks, or United have apparently made a bid. Bruno Fernandes as well, putting up on Instagram Live that he's flying off to somewhere, presume maybe for a medical, although it's kind of reported that Liverpool are the favourites at this stage. I'm amazed why we haven't put in a bid for him at the moment. Let's see what you guys are saying in the comments. Just answer a few questions. Does anybody else think the Glazers board leaks stuff from the club so that they can pretend they are busy trying to buy De Ligt, Rabiot, Fernandes? I don't really think it would be the Glazers or the board who would leak stuff like that. I would presume it's agents and outlets who are trying to bump up the price of players. So I wouldn't be surprised if the De Ligt rumours were something pumped out by Raiola in order to pump up essentially his agent fees, which apparently he pocketed something like 10 million from them. Which is kind of pales into comparison. I think he pocketed like 25 million from the Pogba deal. We've got kids in the academy that can replace them: Greenwood, Gomez, Garner, Twanzebe, Timbo. The academy lads are definitely we've some of the best young players in England, but you have to remember you cannot sling these young lads in at the deep end next season and expect us to be a force. We're not going to win the league next season. We all know that. But players like Greenwood, players like Gomez, they have to be fed into the squad. They can't be thrown in there straight away. And I know people will say, well, Marcus Rashford was thrown in straight away and kind of flourished. Others will say he hasn't flourished given his form towards the end of the season. But Mason Greenwood, 17 years of old. Angel Gomez, I believe, is only 19 now at this stage, 18, 19. These lads, and they've had little to no exposure in the first team. They have to be fed into the squad slowly. Obviously, the Glazers are public enemy number one now. Obviously, a protest and a walkout is planned, I believe, for this Saturday, the 29th, which we will be going to cover and get your guys' reaction and thoughts. We'll speak to a few of the fans on why they're there and what their cause is for the Glazers protest, anti-Glazers protest. More coming on that next week. Anyway, that's all for us this week on Paper Talk. Make sure to like, share and subscribe. Drop your comments down below, suggestions for the next videos, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.